In the meantime, what's going on in Russia or with Russia and Africa?
Oh yes, the Valdai Discussion Club. They don't get a lot of press. I don't know in terms of the alternative media. I don't know, Mike, if UK column over a longer period. I've been on board most recently about 2 years. I don't know if you've given much to the Valdai Discussion Club, but this is sort of an overview, kind of a straightforward report for today. The Russia Africa cooperation outlook and objectives. They've had a lot of meetings lately, uh, most recently in latter July. And it has to do with BRICS. BRICS is involved in this, but we'll move on and just kind of do an overview of what's been going on. Another news brief I wrote for today's report, the 10 BRICS nations' political and business affairs. BRICS calls itself an intergovernmental organization and includes Brazil, Russia, China, Iran, and Saudi Arabia, are often worked out at the Valdai Discussion Club, a Moscow based think tank and discussion forum frequented by Russian President Vladimir Putin. On March 18th of this year, the Valdai Club hosted an expert discussion dedicated to the financial settlements of the BRICS countries. But then the club went on to hold a major conference, the first one on African soil, in Tanzania on July 24 this year. That event's development was significantly influenced by the expansion of BRICS this year, which, in addition to South Africa, added also Egypt and Ethiopia. Thus, key African countries are receiving additional representation in the BRIC structure that determines what are called, quote, the general principles of the countries of the global non-West and South regarding world politics and economics, as organizers of the July 24th event explained, adding that the conference considered the following topics, and we have a few bullet points: economic cooperation between Russia and African countries and their shared values. I'm not sure exactly what those values are at this point. The role of media in their promotion and cultural cooperation. I would wonder which media and in what way. The approaches of the participating countries, quote, to the problem of climate change in connection with the social agenda. And it's not altogether clear what their view is on climate change. Is it markedly different than the US led unipolar world? And tasks for combating world poverty and inequality. I'd like to think that would include serious monetary reform, but we don't know yet. And this is the ambassador of Russia to Tanzania, Mr. Andrey Avetisyan. Avetisyan. I'm kind of, maybe I need Alex here. This is what he had to say. Global politics, the economy, and technological competition will never be the same as before. More countries are striving to strengthen their sovereignty, their self-sufficiency, national and cultural identity. The countries of the global South and East are gaining prominence. And I believe we have one more quote from this gentleman. This new political and economic reality now serve as the foundation for the emerging multipolar and multilateral world order. And this is an inevitable process, he claims. It reflects the cultural and civilizational diversity that is inherently part of humanity, despite all attempts at artificial unification. So he's implying that what the West does through its global governance efforts is in some way artificial. Perhaps he's correct on that. And this is an associated report by the Valdai Discussion Club, Russia, Africa Cooperation, Outlook and Objectives, and just some of the contents. Readers can get into the screens there, to the screen there and freeze that to see the contents. And this is part of those contents. I highlighted a key part. I'll read the top paragraph, only half. Russia-Africa relations have become more substantive and regular over the past year, with development strategies, plans, roadmaps, and summit meetings that have become regular despite the challenges and plans for annual Russia-Africa ministerial conferences. And then the highlighted part, a system of Russian-African relations is gradually taking shape from chaos, dissonance, and competing initiatives. Political signals are increasingly often complemented with practical efforts in various spheres. However, there is still room for a closer alignment of Russia's political and economic interests in the region, considering that political dialogue with some countries is developing more actively than economic cooperation is. So some of it's a little dry, but they're obviously trying to make a pretty big stride forward here, Mike, in their version of a world order that is more multipolar. They claim the U.S. part the U.S. led part is, of course, unipolar and artificial and is prone to a lot of manipulation. Some might argue that this is just another dialectic to kind of merge East and West together, and it will bring just another form of global governance that we'll find just as equally objectionable as we find the Western-led version. I don't know that it's a deceptive thing like that. That's an argument I've heard, but that's the latest. There'll be more from this group as I sort this out and probably get into that report a little more, perhaps next week or the week after. So with that, I think we're good for today for now.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Thanks for that.